That's no moon.
Hello there, and welcome to another pre-World Tournament chat. I'm here with, well, I'm going to let him introduce himself because I have the questions for him. So, first of all, is your name?
Hi, my name is Robert Cootes. I am from Fresno, California, sunny California. You can tell by my Galactic Empire flag in the back. I put up especially for this interview.
Do you know what? I
Uh,
didn't even notice until just you pointed out that that was actually an AT-AT on there as well. I knew the Californian flag has the bear and all this sort of stuff
yeah,
because I've played Fallout New Vegas. So,
right.
so I didn't even notice that was an AT-AT on there. So that's
So
pretty.
I actually do have a new California Republic flag that is prominently up all the time. I actually just got this flag in Anaheim a few weeks back, so
That's pretty
I haven't
cool.
had a chance to put it up. But when I heard I was doing this interview, I figured I had to rep something here.
I like that we bring this like people are representing where they're from. This is what the idea from. So you've said where you're from, which perfectly outlines question number two. Um, the third question I have for you is what faction will you be playing and have you decided on your list?
Um, so it'd be funny if I said anything but Galactic Empire right now, but of course I'm playing Galactic Empire. I think Empire is in an interesting spot right now. So competitively, we'll see how it does at Worlds. I decided that despite the fact that I'm going in as a world qualifier champion, my chance of going the full nine with, um, let's say, more hyper competitive lists is probably not uh, how do I put this? Super likely. So I just, so I decided to play something that sort of merges fun and just something that I can spend time thinking about. But all the podcasts are saying now, decision trees
Yeah.
are sort of limited. And so I'm playing Emperor Palpatine, and I actually will say that I partially got this list from overseas, but I started the game by playing Palpatine. He's
Ooh.
actually the reason I am playing Star Wars Legion. I actually had a friend who was trying to convince me to play, and then he said, "Hey, Palpatine," and then he said, "And you get to turn him into a bomber at the end of the game." And I said, "That's amazing. I have to play this. I have to play this character," and that got me to the game. So I'm playing Palpatine with two Dark Troopers.
Oh, okay.
The Palpatine Double Dark Trooper list did decently well at Nordic. I was planning before the nerfs. I was actually playing, and this was right when I started the game. Was January of last year. So this is kind of like my first season. It's the local store is calling it my debut season. As fun as that is.
So
Um,
when we announce you, if you happen to be on stream at some point, do we announce you and say, and him come, it's a rookie straight out of Fresno, California, and all that sort of stuff?
go for it. I like the term rookie here. Definitely takes a lot of the pressure off for doing. There's the previous champions at this and the
Well,
well
there's only one
knowns.
previous champion, to be fair.
Well, previous champion, correct.
Just one, just one.
Um, where was it? So I actually started by playing Palpatine, and then
Sweet.
I was playing Palpatine Bosk, the classic. At the time, you could also afford to put in a Dark Trooper squad and an Imperial Royal Guard. So at the time, could Guardian the Dark Troopers.
Yep.
So you had two sort of very strong units that the enemy had to focus on, and this worked really well. And I played my first couple of local tournaments with this list, and I did pretty well. I would usually get to the finals and lose to the same person who is our local champion. But other than that, the game went or the list felt fun and I liked it. I love playing Palpatine. I love that he has a few sort of get out of jail free cards or like his two pip. If you get the right moment, it can completely change the game. And his one pip is always fun. And so
Yep.
even if you're losing the game, you're gonna lose the game as long as you kept him safe in a hole. At the very least, you get to go in and have fun and blast, roll some dice, see how
Go
game
out with
goes
a
from there.
go out with a bang, so to
Go out
speak.
with a bang.
That's,
Which I guess since this is Worlds is very American, right? Just throw the bomber in and see how it goes. My
I'm
B,
not at liberty to agree or disagree on such a comment, but yeah.
my B-52 Palpatine, as I'll call him.
Yeah. B-52 Palp. Palp 52.
Might have
Um,
to name my list that now.
what you. I look forward to this. This is all good. This is what I like to. Do you know
Yeah.
what? One of the things I'm really looking forward to is actually seeing all the different list names.
Oh,
Um,
me too.
even the ones that already have the in joke that I've got with my colleague Andy on our podcast. So I'm looking forward to.
Hmm.
So in True Pal, if you're playing Palpatine, I have to do this. Eggs.
Yes.
So
Yes. I have considered bringing a hood, but we spent a bunch of money on these jerseys, so I kind of want to wear the jersey too.
yeah,
So
well, it's multi days. You can go one or the other.
yeah, I can wear both, which is
There you go.
nice.
So when you're playing your lists, particularly this list that you're going to play, what do you
Hmm.
see are your playing strengths? Some people lean into a gun line and they do it very well. Some people lean into jank and trickery. What do you do well that you know as your game style?
So my game style is gunline.
Mhm.
I actually tried to dabble in force users at LVO. I watched Darth Vader get shot off the board 5 rounds out of 6. I decided, you know what, maybe this isn't for me right now. So I'm going back to the classic gun line. And so to me, it's being able to play a gun line. Dark Troopers is an interesting gun line in that it's a gun line, but you only have 2 squads. So there's a lot for them to shoot at because it's full armor. But
Two
if those
squads
start getting
with the 4 activations.
yeah, if they start getting whittled down, though, so it gets a little weaker. So you have to kind of play a little coy. The double movement in the one turn allows you to do some shenanigans, especially with Palpatine, which gives you the extra shot for free.
Yeah.
So, or the extra move, which sometimes is the better play. But I definitely think gun lines and playing against gun lines is where I shine. I know the next question is going to be weakness, and my weakness is Jedi. Man, one of our locals, Jared Dieter, is a phenomenal Jedi player. I spent a lot of games playing against him, and when he has a Jedi on the board, sometimes it's just I can't figure out how to deal with those pesky guys. Obviously, shoot them. Obviously, standbys. But when there's a good Jedi player on the other side of the board, they know all the tricks that you can play. They know how to get through all the tricks that you can
Yeah.
play. It's a shame that there's not a lot of Jedi in the field right now, but I'm glad because I don't like fighting against them. So on a personal level, I'm happy. On a more general level, it's kind of sad that there's not a lot on the field. But
Well,
I am repping a Sith Lord, so
you are playing probably the antithesis to the sit to it. You're playing where you have Palpatine. You're probably going to see, and I'm making a bold prediction. Feel like we're going to see because this is recorded about 3-4 weeks before. So who knows?
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
one of two things going to happen. One, you'll see buttload of Yoda,
Oh
which is,
yeah, I'm
or
expecting
two,
something like
lots of
that.
people would have lent into the Inquisitors and thinking, oh, well, that's how I'll deal with Yoda because it'll just disable his force powers. But we shall see.
Yeah, and either way, it's going to be something where having to deal with that is going to be one of the things I'm gonna have to think about the most. It's easy when there's an enemy rocket launcher to say, all right, keep them away from the rocket launcher as best as you can. But when there's a Jedi, they have, especially with burst of speed, they have the reach, they have the shenanigans, and sometimes they get in.
Yep.
So yeah,
My
but
as a man who plays plenty of Jedi, it's fun to do. It's fun to do, especially the Kenobi one pip in someone's lines. Hello there.
nice.
Um,
Yeah.
so what's your most memorable in-game moment? So think something you've gone and gone that will live with me for fun up here in the happy place.
Yeah. So I have a couple really fun moments. I think the one that stands out the most is the most in my mind funny and ridiculous is it was actually the final game of Golden State Games, which is a world qualifier in San Francisco. It's a ton of fun. I recommend it for anybody to go. And that is in this final game, I was playing up against Hob. I don't know if you know Hob, you've met Hob.
By
He's a fun
reputation,
by reputation. He's a fun guy. We had played the last match of the day before, and he was playing full Wookiees with Yoda, and I was playing Iden Bosk Death Troopers, which is um, a very strong gun line, but does not want to see a Yoda or a bunch of Wookiees on the other side of the field. So the night before, he obliterated me, and so the next day we were playing again, and I say, all right, here we go. Let's have fun. And at the very beginning of the game, and this is going to matter, we say, okay, do we want to use just one of our dice? Just use, your dice or my dice. And Hobb said, you know what? Yeah, let's use my dice. And I do this. It was one of the things that was my first major tournament. I played in small tournaments. So that was my first major. And that was one of the things that people locally talk about. They said, nobody's going to be cheating. Don't expect anybody to cheat, but also just it's easier if you use one person's dice. So it's not even a question. And so we decided to use Hobbs dice. And this matters because in the very first attack roll of the game I do, he'd moved up his Wookiees, and at the time I had T-21 Stormtroopers. I I take the first shot and I roll the dice and I get 5 crits and 2 surges.
Ooh. Ooh.
Now they had an aim token. So I pick up the other white dice. And at this point, I'm looking at him and I'm laughing. He's laughing. And I roll the last dice and I say, it'd be really funny if I roll a crit here. And of course I roll the crit. And so that game was fun for a lot of reasons. We were playing Payload, which neither of us had a lot of experience with. That game, I just want to go through the whole thing. The game ends. He had 1 unit on the payload. I kill the 1 unit. Game over. I win. But that first roll at the very beginning just sort of was fun to me. It made me feel like I had luck on my side, which doesn't really exist perhaps, but it felt like it was fun. And so I just and just the sheer audacity of it. Like I wanted to apologize. I'm like, you're not rolling 8 white dice expecting all crits, but it's like that's dice.
That's just the way it is. This is the way it is. We've all had that. So one of the ones that sticks in my head is I was playing a bloke, and it was wave 1. Game had just come out. I rolled a stack of Rebel Troopers with a Z6 against an ATRT. I rolled 7 or 8 crits.
Oh.
Just like, oh, sorry, dude. And he rolled 6 blanks. It was 8 blanks or whatever it was. It's just like, that's a dead ATRT one-shotted by a unit of Z6s.
It happens, and that's why we play this game. If it was perfectly analytical and you could perfectly map anything out, it'd still be fun, I'm sure, but not as fun. That's more like chess. We like chess with gambling here.
Yep. So on the flip side,
yes,
what lives and hurts in here in the heart that makes you go, oh, that was rough, and you sit there and go, oh, I'll always think back on that horribly.
Oh, worst moment.
In-game, obviously.
In-game moment. Yeah, of course. I'm not going to give you anything too.
I was going to say we're not going too deep. We're going to just. It's not therapy yet. Just going.
So this is another tournament moment. I have a lot of non-tournament memories, but the tournament ones are more fun because people can think, oh, I was at that event, or oh, I heard of that event. This is actually at LVO just a couple months ago.
Yep.
And I'm playing. Oh, I can't remember who I was playing against at the time. All I remember him by is the TTS map guy because that's how he introduced himself as. And so I can't remember his first name at the top of my head, but it's round 4 of day 2 or the second round of day 2, right? I think maybe the first round. Either way, we're a couple games in. At this point, I'm out of the running for winning the thing. I'm just there to have fun, to mess around with Darth Vader and Iden and play my list, which I'd already been doing somewhat poorly. Yep. And I was standing there and I had this hard decision. We're playing on a map and I love LVO, but man, some of those maps had no LOS blockers, like none. And so I'm sitting behind an LOS blocker the size, like, I don't know, it's like tiny. It's like this big, right? So I'm able to hide behind it, but barely. It's a spherical shaped building. It's kind of like a hut. Yep. But it's like a little spherical hut that Darth Vader is hiding behind, and his whole army is hiding kind of not directly behind this hut, but behind some other stuff. So I'd assumed Vader was safe. And we get to this point in the game where it's Lando's 1 pip or 2 pip, the one that gives him extra potential dice. Do you know which one that is?
You know what? Give me a second. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's the odds one where he says I'm gonna roll a surge and then you get extra crits, or I'm gonna roll a crit and you get extra crits, or something like that.
That would be card. No, it's not that one. Ace up his sleeve. This is pip 3.
Yeah. So he plays ace up his sleeve, and at the beginning of the turn, Vader's hiding behind this building. On the left of the building is a Mark II. On the right of the building is another Mark II, and I kind of assumed that the one on the right couldn't really see him incorrectly. And so I'm deciding what to do with Vader. I'm like, Vader has to go first this turn. So I try to find a move that makes me safe. Finally, I say, explicitive it. And at this moment, Jordan's right. The head organizer is walking behind, and he hears me say this, and he starts laughing. And so I do some Vader stuff. Doesn't really do anything. I get to a spot, I almost kill something, but I think he might have even killed it. But the place I go to hide is not good enough. And so that next Lando turn, he takes out his Lando, takes a shot at Vader, rolls the crits. Vader's down to 1 health after one shot. It's just this devastating moment of not just Lando, but with Mark II
Have,
fire support.
have to
And
ask. Have
yeah,
to ask because there is a cross-Atlantic friendly debate about which Vader is the superior Vader. Which Vader are you running? The superior or inferior?
I am playing what the Brits would call the inferior Vaders when I ran, and
Yeah.
I actually had Dave Grant in the channel beforehand. I talked about the list, and then I said I was going to run up Vader, and he said, "Nope, you're running the wrong Vader," and I said it'll be fine,
It's
and it was not fine.
there is, and it's not just Dave. It's my podcast colleague Ollie who ran him for over 100 games in Blizzard Force.
Wow.
That was his go-to list. And
Mm-hmm.
so he is. So I would consider him probably now the expert on running Vader and things like that. But don't tell him I said that. He's gonna be playing games and he won't see this. It's fine. Um, Outside of Legion, in terms of the community things like that, one of the things that makes our Legion community special is just the community in general. But what's your fondest non-game moment?
Oh, fondest non-game moment. So for LVO, this was the first major tournament that I went with a group. I went to Golden State Games and with a couple. No, I actually just went with one person for that. So that was fun. But at Golden State Games, so I'm part of the Legion lads. We're the group based out of Fresno. This was the first major tournament I went with them, and we just had a blast doing all the other stuff. I think the highlight of that though was man, that trip was a lot of fun. And it's also in Vegas, so I can't
You
divulge
can just
too
say the whole
much.
trip. The whole trip, to be fair.
Well, the whole trip was
Yeah,
phenomenal. It was a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever been in a car ride before where we didn't run music the whole time, like at all. And we didn't run the music at all the entire car ride because we were just talking the whole
that's
time.
cool. That's really
And
cool.
and we drove from Fresno, California to Las Vegas. For those that don't know, that's over 8 hours. So 16 hours between the two, just talking the whole way between the 4 or 5 of us that were in the car, which was, it was just a ton of fun.
That's cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool. That's it. And then this thing, and because you go out with your mates and your buddies and things, and that then lives up here in a happy place. That's all
Yeah,
good.
and it's a game moment, so I'm cheating, but I by Sunday we were all out except for our local guy J.R. Dieter who's playing in the top 8. We're all out, and the store manager slash leader of the Legion lads, Roman, and I decided to play some Beer Legion, which
Yeah,
was also a great time. But it's just playing the games that doesn't count for this, but just doing those little things, right? Just goofing around, having fun. It's
100%.
what it's the stuff that you don't get unless you're playing a hobby like this and you're going on these kinds of trips. It's ironically, it reminded me of like trips I used to do in high school, right? Where I was in band in high school and we did band trips, and it kind of felt like that. Just the camaraderie, the
Yep.
fun. You have to do a thing and you have to try really hard at the thing, but at the end of the day, you're having fun. You're doing all the other stuff too, which is fun. And we had some phenomenal restaurants. We had some great times outside of the game. It was just I think it would have to be that.
I think trips in general, especially when you see people who you meet new people who just like join you. I think
Mm-hmm.
they make the, for me it's one of the highlights that will live. There's many, but one of the ones for me is when the Germans came to Britain and they wiped the floor with us, by the way. But they
In
found
a good way, right?
oh
They
yeah,
they didn't
yeah.
just yeah.
They found a pub, and what I would call a traditional British boozer. Bit rough, but we were there and they turned up and Goggles, this is right. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. What is going on here? And I was like, well, it's karaoke. I went, oh, have you sorted out what's happening? Let's do karaoke. And basically, the Germans, loads of Brits, a few Danes, and a couple of people just piled in. We all did karaoke, and that's how that was birthed over here anyway. So that lives up here. It's nice.
That's fun.
Bit of a quick fire one now, so for you.
Okay.
What kind of list do you want to play against? What and basically to it's like, hey, I'm looking forward to this matchup because it is in your favor. What kind of thing?
In my favor, an enemy gun line with no impact. It that one that can't just plink away at me from long range, one that doesn't have 12 impact and I just fall off the face of the board. And
So
something
no,
without
I
a
was gonna
Darth
say,
Vader to walk
you
in
don't
and
want Anakin Saberthrow with RPS support,
no, 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 no. That is what I don't want. That's
which makes it. Well, I guess that's the kind of thing that's going to make you nervous.
yeah, and that's why it's a list like this. I think I've heard it called a spoiler before. I like to think of it more like a scissors and a rock paper scissors, right? High armor is its own sort of list genre, and a lot of the times it gets sort of thrown away and like, oh, that's just there to spoil stuff because
Yeah,
it's not seen as its own legitimate thing. You know, when triple ATST is coming out, people are saying, "Oh, it's just going to spoil all these other lists," and I can see that, but that's just kind of the nature of rock paper scissors. Is it's going to do well against some things, it's going to do terribly against other things, and it's going to force you to think about what if I play against this, and that's how
yeah,
I ended up playing this list. Is because when I was thinking, what can I bring in Empire that will do well against Ewoks, Wookiees, Yoda, Anakin, and you just the list goes on. Oh, and of course, experimental droids. I'm like, I don't know. I can't think of an Empire list that does well against all of these things. So you just try to hope you don't get the things you
yep.
don't
You
want to
try
fight.
to hope for the matchup.
You just yeah.
Um, are there any individuals based on reputation, things like that, or friends that you would like to play that you don't get to play too often? Is there anyone you're looking forward to seeing, that sort of thing?
That I'm looking forward to playing. You know, I'm actually because this is my rookie year, as we were saying. I haven't. I only know a lot of people by reputation, and just seeing names on Discord. So I, at this point, I don't say there's anybody in particular I'm looking forward to play. I'm just excited to be there. You
That's
know,
cool.
I'm happy to go play up against some of these titans. I hope I can represent my city well, my team well, you know, the whole nine. But I'm just, yeah, the Legion lads got to stand up for this. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to whoever I get to play against,
Nice.
and I hope to learn some more of these to meet, I should say, some more of these big names that you know you see in here.
Cool. So on the flip side of that, does that mean you don't mind if there's no one who scares you, or is it
There's
a case,
no, is there anybody
please
who
don't want to
scares
play,
me?
I don't want to play that person because no, or that sort of thing.
Ugh. Um, I don't want to play JR. Again, Jared Dieter is our other local that's going, and I don't want to play him because I can play him anytime.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Other than that, again, obviously, if I went up against Luke Cook, I'd be terrified. Obviously, if I went up against some of these bigger names that are higher up on the elo, you know, I would be scared. But I'm at this point just looking forward to the opportunity, the experience of getting to play
Yeah.
um, against some of these more known players. You know, yeah,
Clearly, you've
that's
not played the dreaded Pink Suns, otherwise you wouldn't be put them in your lists. They're horrible to play against.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, the other list I was going to play before I decided on Double Dark Troopers, and maybe I'll end up with this anyways, and maybe this whole I don't have to put in my list for another
No,
couple of weeks,
oh
so
no,
this
you're right.
whole this Double Dark Troopers thing may just fall by the wind by then. I wanted to play Palpatine 3 Black Suns. I just couldn't figure out a way to get them in without them dying first.
Yeah, there is that.
A lat can only go so far, and you can only put one in a lat, and so
Lat
um,
and grab. No, take the lat and take a gav, and you're done.
there's no points for that with a Palpatine.
Oh yeah, of course, Palpatine. That makes
I
sense.
I would take them if I could. I just can't afford it. So you know,
So,
if I could have 1,000 points and everyone else
oh
had
yeah,
800 points, I think this tournament would be in the bag.
oh yeah,
Um,
just take what. Yeah, that would
let's just
work.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dear LVO. No, got it. No, LVO, Adepticon.
Adepticon. Yeah,
Two more questions.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the ultimate one is fun fact about yourself that others may or may not know.
Ooh, fun fact about myself. Um, yeah, I don't like to do you know job stuff, but I am actually I lecture in U.S. history. I'm a U.S. historian.
You and I might have a
It's
conversation after this.
sure, yeah. I
History man
actually
myself. There we go.
I actually had a stack of books up there that I had to take away because you know it kind of looks uncool in the back of a stream. But yeah, so that's fun. I love talking history. One
So
of the delights of playing LVO was or not LVO Legion was that our local group started doing tournaments down in Bakersfield, and one of the guys there is a California historian that plays Legion. So you know we got to talk, have fun. Now I have another person I can talk to and say, hey, history stuff. What do you? Yeah. So
we'll talk about that now. We'll save that for people watching this might not be into that, but we'll save that for our private.
Yeah, of course, especially the non-Americans. So
Exactly. So on the last question is then,
yes.
who would you like to dedicate this interview to, your appearance at Worlds at, and say, give a shout out to any local club or store and things that you purchase from or attend or whatnot?
Um, okay, so we'll start with the store and the club. Our local community is based out of Legends Comics and Games in Clovis, California. But if I'm going to dedicate this interview, it's going to be to our boy Edward. Edward got me into the game, and he's just probably the rock of the community. Just not the best player, he likes to play fun stuff, but he just keeps everyone, let's say, grounded and wholesome.
Nice.
He's
That's cool.
yeah.
So
So definitely dedicating to Edward.
this is for Edward, and for say the store again.
Legends Comics and Games in Clovis, California.
Legends Comics and Games in Clovis, California. They might appreciate that little Instagram tweet, so I'll sort that out later.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Recently visited by Ray Park too. So they're a Star Wars store now. They always have been, but
you guys do get some entertaining people come out there. But that said, we have that this accent leans to every Empire character that ever existed. All I'm going to say is,
yeah, of course.
but thank you for joining us. I wish you well.
Thank you.
I wish you well, and may the force be with you, or not, because you're Palpatine, at Worlds. And I look forward to seeing your stream. Come and say hello to ourselves, Bushman and Zane. We'll say hello.
All right, yeah. I look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's no moon.